Hi, we are back together to read R.K. Narayan's Swami and Friends. We finished chapter 5 last time. This is chapter 6 today, titled A Friend in Need. One afternoon, 3 weeks later, Swaminathan stood before Mani's house and gave a low whistle. Mani joined him. They started for Rajam's house, speculating on the way about the surprise which Rajam had said he would give them if they saw him that afternoon. So Rajam had told them, if you come to my house this afternoon, I'll give you a surprise. So what would be that surprise? They were wondering, they were talking about as they went to Rajam's house. I think, said Swaminathan, Rajam is merely joking. It is merely a trick to get us to his house. He was very nearly pushed into a gutter for this doubt. So, so Mani and Swami are going. Swami says it's just a trick to get us to his house. Then Mani pushed him. Podani, not like that. And Swaminathan almost fell into the gutter. Probably he has bought a monkey or something, Swaminathan suggested again. Mani was gracious enough to admit that, yes, it's something. They thought of all possible subjects that might surprise them and then gave up the attempt in the end. Okay, then they could not think more. Their thoughts turned to their enemies. You know what I am going to do, Mani asked. I am going to break Somu's waist. I know where he lives. He lives in Kabir Street behind the market. I have often seen him coming out at nights to a shop in the market for betel leaves. I shall first fling a stone at the municipal lamp and put it out. You have no idea how dark Kabir Street is. I shall wait with my club, and as soon as he appears, he will sprawl in the dust with broken bones. Swaminathan shuddered to think of this. And that is not all, said Mani. I am going to get that pea under my heel and press him to the earth. And Shankar is going to hang by his tuft over Sarayu from a people branch. So this Mani is thinking of all violence against all these people. First against Somu, and then against P, and against Shankar. He wants to do violence to all of them. They stopped talking when they reached Rajam's house. The gate was bolted, and they got up the wall and jumped in. A servant came running toward them and asked, "Why did you climb the wall?" "Is the wall your property?" Mani asked and burst into laughter. "But if you had broken your ribs," the servant said. "What is that your ribs are safe, are they not?" Swaminathan asked ungraciously and laughed. "And just a word more," Mani said. "Do you happen to be, by any chance, the police superintendent's son?" No, said the servant. "Very well then, we have come to see and talk to the police superintendent's son." The servant beat a hasty retreat. They banged their fists on Rajam's door. They heard the clicking of the latch and hid themselves behind a pillar. Knock on the door and then hide. That's what they did. Rajam peeped out and shut the door again. Then these two came and stood before the door, and then, what shall we do? They asked each other. Then Somnathan put his mouth to the keyhole and mewed like a cat. Mani pulled him away and put his mouth to the keyhole and barked like a dog. Silly boys. The latch clicked again and the door slightly opened. Mani whispered to Swaminathan, "You are a blind kitten. I'll be a blind puppy." So Mani fell down on his knees and hands and shut his eyes tight and pushed the door with his head. and entered Rajam's room in the role of a blind puppy. Swaminathan crawled behind him with shut eyes, mewing for all he was worth. They moved round and round the room, Rajam adding to the interest of the game by mewing and barking in answer every few seconds. The blind puppy brushed its side against a leg, and thinking that it belonged to Rajam, softly bit the calf muscle. Imagine its confusion when it opened its eyes and saw that it was biting its enemy, Somu. The blind kitten nestled close to a leg and scratched it with its paw. Opening its eyes, it found it was fondling a leg that belonged to the enemy, Shankar. So the Somu and Shankar were there in Rajam's house, and that was the secret. And these two were surprised. Mani remained stunned for a moment and then scrambled to his feet. He looked around, his face twitching with shame and rage. He saw the pea sitting in a corner, his eyes twinkling with mischief, and felt impelled to take him by the throat. He turned round and saw Rajam regarding him steadily, his mouth still quivering with a smothered grin. As for Swaminathan, he felt that the best place for himself would be the darkness and obscurity under a table or a chair. So that was the very funny incident when these two went to meet Rajam. What do you mean by this, Rajam? Mani asked. Why are you so wild? Asked Rajam. It was your fault, said Mani. I didn't know. And then he looked around. Well, I didn't ask you to crawl and bark, did I? Rajam asked. Somo and company laughed. Mani glared around. I'm going away, Rajam. This is not the place for me. Rajam replied, You may go away if you don't want me to see you or to speak to you anymore. Then you may go away. Mani fidgeted uneasily. Rajam took him aside and soothed him. Don't be angry like that. We have to talk to them. Then Rajam turned to Swaminathan, who was lost in bottomless misery. He comforted and flattered him by saying that it was the best imitation of a cat and dog that he had ever witnessed in his life. He admitted that for a few minutes he wondered whether he was watching a real cat and a dog. They would get prizes if they did it in fairs. If Swaminathan and Mani would be good enough to repeat the fun, he would be delighted and even ask his father to come and watch. This was soothing. Swaminathan and Mani felt proud of themselves, and after the round of eating that followed, they were perfectly happy, except when they thought of the other three in the room. They were in this state of mind when Rajam began a lecture on friendship. He said impressive things about friendship, quoting from his book, The Story of the Dying Old Man and the Faggots, which proved that union was strength. This story is about a dying old man who teaches his sons that, he has a bundle of sticks tied up. Now, he says, can you break this stick, this bundle? So son 1 tries, son 2 tries, son 3 tries, nobody can break the bundle. Then the father unties the bundle and gives one little stick, each piece of it to one son, and they are able to break it easily. So the father teaches that if they are together, they will be strong. So that is the same thing which Rajam is explaining to his friends. He said impressive things about friendship, quoting from his book, The Story of the Dying Old Man and the Faggots, which proved that union was strength. A friend in need was a friend indeed. He then started giving hair-raising accounts of what hell had in store for persons who fostered enmity. According to Rajam, it was written in the Vedas that a person who fostered enmity should be locked up in a small room after his death. He would be made to stand stark naked on a pedestal of red-hot iron. There were beehives all around with bees as big as lemons. If this sinner stepped down from the pedestal, he would have to put his foot on immense scorpions and centipedes that crawled about the room in hundreds. A shudder went through the company. The sinner would have to stand thus for a month without food or sleep. At the end of a month, he would be transferred to another place, a very narrow bridge over a lake of boiling oil. The bridge was so narrow that he would be able to keep only 1 foot on it at a time. Even on the narrow bridge, there were plenty of wasp nests and cactus, and he would be goaded from behind to move on. He would have to balance on 1 foot and then on another for ages and again to keep himself from falling into the streaming lake below and move on indefinitely. The company was greatly impressed with this story. Rajam then invited everyone to come forward and say that they would have no more enemies. If Shankar said it, he would get a bound notebook. If Somnathan said it, he would get a clockwork engine. If Somu said it, he would get a belt. And if Mani said it, he would get a nice pocket knife. And the P would get a marvelous little pen. Rajam threw open the cupboard and displayed the prizes. There was silence for some time as each sat gnawing at his nails. Rajam was sweating with his peacemaking efforts. The P was the first to rise. He stood before the cupboard and said, "Let me see the fountain pen." Rajam gave it to him. The P turned it round and gave it back without any comment. "Why? Don't you like it?" Rajam asked. The P kept staring into the cupboard and said, "Can I have that box?" He pointed at a tiny box with a lot of yellow and black designs on it and a miniature Taj Mahal on its lid. Rajam said, "I can't give you that. I want it." He paused. He had 2 more boxes like that in his trunk. He changed his mind. "No, I don't want it. You can take that box if you like." In a short while, Mani was sharpening a knife in his palm. Somu was trying a belt on. Shankar was fingering a thick bound notebook, and Swaminathan was jealously clasping the green engine to his bosom. So they all promised that they will have no enemy, and they all got their gifts from Rajam. So they were all happy with that meeting and that promise. That's the end of chapter 6. Now tomorrow, chapter 7, and that will be tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you.